Every culture that ever existed created a god of death. And here's the thing that'll mess you up. They're all describing the same job, just in wildly different costumes. Death gods aren't about punishment. They're not about evil. They're about one singular, desperate thing: order in the face of obliteration. Because when you die, where does you go? That question kept every ancient civilization up at night. The body's right there, cooling on the ground, but the person? The consciousness? The thing that made them them? It has to go somewhere. It can't just vanish. So they built entire cosmic bureaucracies to answer it. Layers of afterlife. Rules. Gatekeepers. The Underworld god is basically middle management for eternity. They're keeping the dead where they belong, making sure the living don't stumble across the border too early, maintaining that razor-thin boundary between worlds. It's not glamorous work, but someone's got to do it, and every culture independently decided that someone needed to be divine. Here's what should genuinely unnerve you. This role shows up across continents that never contacted each other. Ancient Egypt and pre-Columbian Mexico never exchanged notes. The Greeks never compared spreadsheets with the Japanese. And yet they all arrived at the same conclusion: you need a god specifically for this. Which means it's not cultural borrowing. It's not trade routes or shared mythology. It's something hardwired into how human brains process mortality. We all built the same cosmic job posting because we're all terrified of the same thing. Hades doesn't want your soul. He's already got billions of them. He's not collecting. He's doing inventory. There's a difference, and it matters. This isn't some red-skinned cartoon villain scheming to fill his underworld quota. This is a god who drew the short straw at the beginning of time, got handed the realm of the dead, and just stayed there, doing the work. While his brothers threw lightning bolts and started wars and seduced anything that moved, Hades sat on his obsidian throne in the dark and kept the cosmic books balanced. He's the only Olympian who doesn't leave his post, doesn't cheat on his wife with mortals, doesn't meddle in human affairs unless you literally drag him into it. The Greeks understood this, which is why they were terrified to even say his name out loud. They called him Plauton instead, the wealthy one, because the dead and the earth's mineral riches both belong to the below. That's not a compliment. That's avoidance as reverence. And the Persephone myth? That's not a love story. It's a treaty. Life and death had to negotiate terms, and someone had to spend half the year in the dark so the world could keep turning. Hades isn't romantic. He's inevitable. He's not cruel. He's cold, competent, and completely unbothered by your opinion of him. Which, honestly, is the most terrifying kind of power there is. Here's what they don't tell you about underworld gods. Most of them didn't apply for the job. Ereshkigal, queen of the Sumerian underworld, didn't descend by choice. She was banished there, exiled to the land of no return while her siblings got the sky and the earth and everything that blooms. Her rage didn't just shape her realm, it became the foundation of it. When her sister Inanna comes waltzing down to the underworld, glittering and ambitious, trying to claim even this, Ereshkigal doesn't hesitate. She kills her, hangs her corpse on a hook like meat. And before you flinch, this isn't cruelty. This is what boundary enforcement looks like when you've had everything stolen and you're finally holding one thing that's yours. Osiris gets it. He only becomes lord of the Egyptian underworld after his brother Set murders him, dismembers him, scatters his body across the earth like trash. You have to die to rule death. You have to know what it is to be broken. Both of them flip the script entirely. They're not distant judges staring down from thrones. They're victims who turned their trauma into sovereignty, who built kingdoms in the exact place they were thrown. Their grief isn't a weakness. It's the architecture. Some cultures said the quiet part out loud. They made their death gods look like death. The Norse gave us Hel, daughter of Loki, goddess of the dishonored dead. She's half corpse. One side living flesh, one side rotting bone. No metaphor. No poetic distance. Just the thing itself, split down the middle where you can't look away. She rules Helheim, the realm for everyone who died of sickness or old age, not in battle. The UN glorious dead. The ones who don't get songs or sargers. The ones who just ended. And Hel doesn't apologize for them. She doesn't sanitize what they became. Across the ocean, the Aztecs had Mictlantecuhtli, Lord of Mictlan, the Underworld's lowest level. He's a skeleton. That's it. Crowned with owls, surrounded by spiders, draped in the iconography of decay. His what's left when the flesh falls away and the bones remember they were always the truth underneath. These gods don't comfort you. They don't dress death up in gentle language or soft symbolism. They show you the rot, the end of beauty, the collapse of the body you thought was permanent. And they rule it without flinching. Because someone has to. Someone has to stand in the place where pretty words don't work anymore and say, "This is real, and I'm not afraid of it." Here's the thing that every mythology figured out independently. Death gods do the same three jobs, no matter where you are in the world. They guide souls across. They guard the boundaries so the dead stay dead. And they transform whatever enters their realm. Psychopomp, gatekeeper, alchemist of the soul. It's the same job description from Egypt to Greece to Mesoamerica to Japan. Which honestly tracks, because humans everywhere have the same nightmare about what comes after. But here's what makes these gods genuinely unsettling. They're not evil. They're neutral. Hades isn't torturing you for fun. Osiris isn't personally offended by your crimes. They're arbiters, and that's so much scarier than a villain, because you can't bargain with the inevitable. You can't charm entropy. And notice this, every underworld is beneath. Always dark. Always a journey downward. That's not accident. Psychologically, confronting death is a descent into the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. The shadow self. The unprocessed grief. The things you shoved down because they were too heavy to carry in daylight. These gods are maps of the same human terror playing out in different costumes. What if there's nothing after this? What if there's something, and it's run by someone who doesn't care about your mortal concerns? What if you arrive at the gates and the god sitting there just shrugs? Modern culture treats death like a glitch in the system. Something to avoid talking about until it's unavoidable. We've sanitized it, medicalized it, pushed it to the edges of polite conversation. But these gods? They said the quiet part out loud for millennia. They made death central, sacred, necessary. And here's the thing, you've already met them. Every time you've survived an ending, you've walked their path. That relationship that unmade you. The version of yourself you had to bury. The life you thought you'd live that just dissolved. You went down. You crossed over. You came back changed. That's not metaphor. That's the myth, playing out in your bones. The underworld gods aren't waiting for you after death. They're the force behind every transformation that requires you to let something die first. The job you walked away from. The grief that reshaped you. The identity you outgrew. They're there, in the threshold, in the dark. We don't worship them anymore. But we're still living in their jurisdiction. Every grief. Every release. Every time you bury the past and feel that strange, hollow relief, you're speaking their language. You're doing the work they've always governed. The underworld isn't where you go when you're gone. It's where you've always been going. Every breath, every choice, every ending you've survived, you're already fluent in its language. The gods are just holding up a mirror. Follow Blackfire Atelier. I'll see you in the shadows.